Webinar, How to Build Your Business Case for Field Service Technology, brought to you by ServiceMax. I'd like to take a moment to introduce our speaker today. Joining us we have Vidya Chitanga, Director of Product Marketing at ServiceMax. So welcome, Vidya. Before we move on, I'd like to mention that we will be doing a live Q&A at the end. So please feel free to submit questions using the Questions tab on your control panel, and we'll address these at the end. And lastly, we will be sending you the final recorded webinar and the PDF slide deck within 48 hours. So without further ado, I'd like to pass you over to Vidya.
Hey, thank you, Naomi. Welcome, everyone. My name is Vidya Chitanga. Again, I'm the Director of Product Marketing here at ServiceMax. Firstly, I am super excited to present some great content that we've put together for you, hopefully, to use when the time is right. Secondly, I want to say, don't fear. You're not the only ones who go through this and who are startled and are looking for some help when it comes to getting approval from someone to do something. It could be something as simple as coaxing your wife to buy a brand new 2015 Mustang GT, or putting up a pool table in the living room and messing up the furniture and the look of the house. Or it could be asking your boss to get you tools to do your job better and eventually save the company money. Well, today's webinar, How to Build a Business Case for Field Service, will leave you equipped to do one thing for sure. It will help you build a business case, and we have the right tools for that for you today. So, you hopefully, as you're listening to me, you understand and you want your service business to thrive and surpass customer expectations, right? Right? Well, you can't answer me now, but I'm hoping you're nodding your head, you're giving me a virtual nod, maybe you're standing up in your seat and say, yes, yes, yes. And the first step in that direction, obviously, you know that you want to take advantage of new technology enhancements in the marketplace. You know that field service technology is going to help you run your business better, thereby make you successful. But how do you get the green light? How do you get that boss sitting over your head to say yes to something like this? Well, I'm splitting the next 45 minutes into 3 categories. First off, I'm going to present the business case checklist. I don't know about you guys, but really, if someone handed me a proven checklist, I'd just be on top of it. I love checklists. Secondly, I'm going to spend some time giving you a live demonstration of the ROI calculator. This tool will crunch out numbers for you and will tell you exactly how much you're going to save, and it's great to use it in your leisure as well. Finally, I feel like it's unfair to leave you guys wondering about how number 1 and number 2 come together. And so I've put a sample business case deck together, and this sample business case deck will show you how you're going to use the items, the research, the homework you do from the checklist in number 1, and then use the results of number 2 to build the deck. Before I go on to my next slide, Naomi, if you don't mind, can you pull up the poll question? And the question is, what's your time frame for building a business case? This will help me run the presentation smoother, if you don't mind. Obviously, is it short term, super short term, near term, mid-term, long term, or are you saying, hey, I'm not thinking about it, it just seemed like a good topic, so I'm joining this webinar. Whatever it is, I'd love to know what the plans are. And I see that the results are coming in. 50% of you have voted. The numbers going up. Oh, it's interesting to see that so many of you are looking to do this in the first 3 months. Actually, it's split between the 2 extremes, folks who have no plans at all and folks who say, I want to do it immediately. So maybe, Naomi, you can close the poll and present the results to the audience. And there you go. 39% of you have needs immediately. Some of you are thinking about it, and some of you haven't thought about it. Okay, good to know. Hopefully you can see my next slide. And Okay, so let's talk about the first item. Let's do some homework. And are you still on that slide? What slide are you seeing? Okay. Okay. And let's see, let me do this one more time. Let's go to the first agenda item, which is doing the homework. Here's the checklist. Ta-da! The business case checklist. I mean, each and every item of this, you guys can jot down some notes as I'm going through this. First and foremost, I have a slide on each of them, by the way. But first off, identify your top goals. And then think about the top business goals. It could be the goals of your department, goals of the company. Depending on what your role is, the top business goals and your goals might coincide. Number 3 is identify an executive whose top level objective the number 2 item is. Like the top business goals must belong to this executive. And then evaluate the business landscape. Try and assess the state of your business today. Then gather benchmark data. It always helps to know how something is working for someone else and how they're doing things. Identify processes for budget and approvals. People usually forget this. I have a slide on that. We'll go through that. Understanding your competition. Know thy enemy. So important. Keep them close. List all the hidden costs that can be avoided. Tag team with your buddy. That's an interesting point too. We'll get to that. So this is the checklist. By the way, I tried my best to make it 10, but then I just couldn't. So it's 9. The first item is identify your top goals. And I have a list of recommended goals because people are like, oh, what do you mean by goals? You said come to my webinar and I'll tell you how to build a business case. So I'm being very prescriptive in this webinar, but please, my intention is not to offend anyone on the call. If you guys think, duh, I know this, then you and I are thinking alike. So recommended goals, it could be around a product area, it could be for a technician, it could be around costs, it could be around revenue, it could be about any of these things. And your homework, number 1, is to choose 1 or 2 goals, either from this list or add your own for yourself. Remember, these are your top goals. Okay. Next item on the list is identify top business goals. Remember that these top business goals that are set by your executives are super important. You and I may believe that we live in a cocoon, but really you have to be a butterfly and spread your wings and show the colors. And remember that other guys over you have their own goals, and think about those goals. They usually fall in one of the 3 categories, either around revenues, either around costs, or customer satisfaction. And that's why I just said most common goals are those 3. You may see other goals too. Remember that these goals somehow have to be aligned to the goals in the previous slide. So your goals and the business goals have to come together at some point, and that's the reason you're identifying them early on. And the homework is identify 1 high-level business goal. I mean, these are big goals. So if there was a monitor, it would have beeped. Anyway, map your goals to this business goal, as I said. So that's your homework. Let's go to the 3rd item, and maybe before the 3rd item, I do want to ask a poll question. Naomi, do you mind presenting the audience with the next poll question? And this would help me, for those of you who got a glimpse of my next slide, I need to understand who you would be pitching your business case to. Is it, I mean, you can pick one of the following. I have various departments: service department, finance department, operations, IT. If you think it's procurement, go ahead and put them under operations. Maybe it's a C-level, it's a CEO or a COO, or whatever. Just pick one that's most relevant, and that will give me an idea of who we are talking to, what kind of audience I have on the call today. Awesome. It's coming in. And as you're answering that question, If it's a small-sized company, then you could be talking to the owner or the president. If it's a medium-sized company, then you could be talking to the president or the general manager or the vice president. And really, if it's a large company, you could be talking to the director or to the national service manager or whoever. So maybe we should just go ahead and present the poll results to see who's on the call, and so you guys can see what we voted on. Oh, look at that. 41% are presenting to C-level executives. You want this to be high level. You want the business case pitch. I'll show you the sample deck, and I'll call out the executive summary. They usually have time for 1 or 2 slides. So really, you can pick and choose and have the rest of it in the appendix. Same goes for vice presidents and so on. But it's interesting to see that it's just 3% in finance and IT. So obviously, this is field service. So you're either rolling up to service or operations or directly presenting to a C-level. Awesome. So let's go back to my deck. And again, let me pull up the slide and see if you guys can see the next the next item on the checklist, which is identifying the executive whose top-level objective this is. Now, based on your company culture and hierarchy, choosing that executive may be important, and this executive would then become your internal champion. So you guys said it's the C-level executive that you would be presenting this to. Try to understand what his goals are, and they usually publish it. Even in a small company, they're like, oh my God, we need to do X, Y, and Z to increase service revenue. We are underwater here. This is too expensive. We got to cut down costs. You would know about it. So your homework is to schedule a meeting with your executive. Understand beforehand, whatever be the size of the company, be it the VP of service, VP of operations, the C-level executive, try and figure out if you can get some time on his calendar and meet with him and explain to him how you can, how you are evaluating this process of putting a business case together, and that you'll come back to him. Next, evaluate the business landscape. So this is the bulk of your homework, guys, really. This is where you have to try and figure out, talk to a whole bunch of folks. You don't have to work in isolation. Go talk to your finance counterpart. You're in service, right? Obviously, talk to your operations counterpart. Talk to your sales counterpart who is selling a product, and then you're now servicing the product. So talk to them, find out why so many customers are not under contract. Are they not selling it when they're selling the product? Are they just going ahead and selling, focusing on the product sale and not the contract sale? Why is it that you have so many lost parts in your, how come you can't account for parts? How come your technicians don't seem engaged and they don't seem to be that productive, and they seem to be underutilized? What about recurring revenue? Do you have preventive maintenance plans? Do you have periodic scheduled revenue streams? Those could be your potential challenges. And then the current situation, really, when you've done this homework, and when we go to the second part of this presentation, you would see that we need this information for our ROI calculations. So how many number of customers do you have? What percentage of them are under service contract? How many technicians you have? How many jobs per technician per day? How much do you charge? What's the hourly rate of the technician? What's your service revenue? If you don't have these answers, I think it shouldn't be too difficult to go find them, to get them out of the books or ask people or whatever. Parts inventory may be relevant, may not be relevant, but it's good to evaluate and get the health check of your business landscape. So talk to a whole bunch of people and get this information. That's your homework. And as you do this, you would then be maybe interested in the next checklist item, which is the benchmark data. Use this information to call out the impact of not doing something. You know, when you talk to your boss and you tell them, listen, every time we send a technician to fix the same problem, the second time around, it's going to cost us over $1,000. And if we just could avoid a few of them in a month, think about how it pays off for the project already. Talk about how one extra house call a day can make all the difference, how much you can pocket end of the month, one extra job per day. And then ask your, when you're evaluating field service solutions, ask your vendor if they've done a customer survey. Like at ServiceMax, we have tons of customer data. They've been with us for years. They've seen the impact. They've seen the numbers, and they're able to share that number with us. And so you can get that number and say, oh, somebody in my industry has hit that mark, which means I can do something significantly different to try and get those numbers for myself as well. So ask or research for more benchmark data in your industry. That's your homework. And when I present the ROI calculator, you would see that I've actually curated some of that information for you already. Woo-hoo. So next up, number 6 is identify processes for budget and approvals. Well, there are internal processes, whether you know it or not. It's like procurement wants you to do something. There could be bottlenecks at various points in the project. Find out what the evaluation process is. Find out what the timeline is. Is a budget getting, is it a use or lose kind of a situation? Is it, who's going to sign off on that? So really your homework is to read up on the process for software procurement. And in this case, field service management. Evaluation of the software, acquisition, and approval. You need to know what the process is, and really you have to ask for it. I'm not saying there would be a published document, but obviously you would have to go and ask someone, hey, do I have budget for this? And if they say, if there's a business case, I can approve the budget. So okay, then it's the chicken and the egg thing, and you can go work on the business case. But at least now you know that you need that to get the approval. Get insight on the flexibility or lack of in timeline and budget. I mean, it's possible that there's no flexibility, and then that means you have to change your stand and your process. Finally, is it that one CEO, the C-level folks, the C-level executive that would sign off on the project, or in some of you guys' case, if you said it's the VP or the director of service or operations, is it a committee? Is it going to be not just that guy, but like a consortium of people who would have a say in the sign off on the project? So think about that and identify that. That's your homework. Next up is understanding what your competition is doing. I mean, really, the homework is large. It's huge. It's a mouthful, but I put it in there because you guys may want to share these slides with your friends and colleagues, and that's why you should know what the guys on the other side are doing. I mean, do their technicians use mobile devices? Can they bring their own devices? Do their technicians have the 360-degree view of the customer, access CRM information without going from one screen to another? Does the company have parts visibility? What about parts tracking? Can the technicians, if they're stuck at the customer site, pull up an iPad, turn it around, and get to an expert in real time and ask for help, so that maybe you're reducing training time, and maybe you can send an inexperienced technician on the job anytime, anywhere. So if your competition is doing that and you're not doing that, then that's not good news. Is your competition able to generate a pro forma invoice? Do their executives, your competitors, customers' executives have access to reports and dashboards that help them stay on top of their business? It's so important for you to know these things. And even if you don't know this, really, I agree that it may be difficult to get answers to all these questions, but hopefully this is giving you enough food for thought to try and figure out, oh, so there are companies who are doing this. How come I'm not doing it? So this is something you have to have in your back pocket. Next item, list all the hidden costs that can be avoided. I mean, hidden costs are big when it comes to ROI analysis and justifying getting new stuff. Think about paperwork. If you're still using paper and pen and paper, you know that human error is going to play into this. So think about that. Think about the high dispatcher to text ratio. Do you really need that many dispatchers? Are they just doing mental work and they have this big whiteboard where they have chalked out the schedule, and are they trying to manually dispatch folks? Can they actually tell which technician is able to handle what job? Again, refocus IT personnel. If your IT guys are spending too much time on the software that they've procured, they have the hardware, they've got to maintain a whole bunch of things, instead think about switching to the cloud and what kind of IT personnel reuse can happen. They can focus on other strategic projects and don't have to just do the cumbersome hardware maintenance. If you have on-premise software, oh my God, God bless you, because it's crazy. Every time there's an upgrade, the integrations break. Every time there's a new business request, your implementation costs come into play, your integrations don't work, there's downtime when there are upgrades and so on. So your homework is make a list of all the hidden costs that you can find and ask various folks about it. It's not just what you think are the hidden costs, but as you talk to your counterparts and as you have built this team of buddies or executives who you rely on, you can assess this the hidden costs and keep it in your back pocket. Finally, last tip is the last item on the checklist is tag team with your buddy. Now, who could this buddy be? Well, you know, depending on what role you play in the organization, it could be your sales counterpart who wants more visibility into service, who wants to not own selling service contracts and is happy to give it up to you and your organization so you can finally start talking about making money and not just saving costs. Think about your marketing counterpart. He wants the competitive intel from the field. It's your technicians who is out there on the road. So if marketing can plug into that and say, hey, if I have the right tools to upsell and cross-sell and get hot qualified leads, if this guy is able to take a picture of a competitor's machine when he's out there servicing our machine, I would love for that to happen. So marketing may be interested. What about finance? What about having this pro forma invoice that gets generated? What about having the single click close of a work order? You're able to expedite the cash flow. Think about improving the DSO. Your CFO's ears would totally pick up for that. So this is great. So think about that and show your buddy how valuable field service is to their function, how valuable it is to either finance or marketing or operations or sales, HR. I forget the sixth role, but you know, literally every organization, the product team, oh my God, of course, engineering, how can I forget the product or the engineering team? They could be your counterpart too, and really send me an email because I have some super awesome content on that, superlative use of adjectives, but that's that. And with that, I think it's time for a live demonstration. So hopefully you're equipped with a checklist, you have the 9 items, you know that you have to do some homework before you can actually say, okay, I'm going to sit down to build my business case. But no business case is complete without an ROI analysis. And hence, we switch gears and go and look at a live calculator. If I were you, I would bookmark this, because this thing is free, it's super cool and sexy, and it's going to save you some money. Let's go to my Chrome. Can you guys see my, okay, awesome. So just go to servicemax.com/ROI-calculator or just be on the home screen and click on the Calculate ROI button. It'll take you to the ROI calculator. The ROI calculator would just present you with a very simple set of instructions on how to go about the calculator, and I know that it's still building, so I'm going to wait and go slow. Maybe you guys beat me to it and you're just hacking this site for me already, and the traffic is so much that I can't get to my own page. But no, I got to it. As you can see, it's got 3 simple steps that you can follow. Answer a few simple questions by moving the sliders, click on the Show Results button, and fill out a form to get a free ROI report mailed to you. Let's get started. Okay. First off, I want to say that there are 3 broad categories of questions. First is general company information, right? Second is field technician data, and then the inventory data. It's possible you may say, hey, you know what, let's get the inventory data out of the way. We can just say 0 to all the inventory. So now you're left with 10 simple questions, and most of this you should know this, or if not, because of the homework you've done. Remember checklist item number 4, I think, had all those evaluating the business landscape and getting the current challenges and situation. This is where you would use those numbers. So let's say the first 2 questions here are on the revenue of the service revenue. The first is the annual value of your service contracts. You can move the slider to give in the information, or you can just say, hey, it's $10 million, and I'm just going to enter it here. You can do that too. Second question is on the revenue you generate in your organization without, outside of service contracts. So T&M, time and material service revenue, that could be, let's say, $5 million, just half of what's under contract. The third question is on costs, service costs. And really, I'm just asking about warranty costs here, not the overall service cost. So certain things, the cost of the products or the parts that come back to you because something is covered under warranty. Obviously, you have to dispatch another product, you have to replace it, you have to exchange it or whatever. What's the warranty cost involved in that? And let's say in this case for you, it's like $2 million. What's the percentage of warranty cost? That's a warranty leakage. What percent? The warranty leakage is defined as you giving away service for free because you don't have visibility into what part or product is under warranty. So again, 25% is the industry standard. I know, and sometimes it's like 25%. Yeah, that's the industry standard. So let's go with the industry standard for now. And then what kind of profits do you make on item number 1 and 2? Both for contract and T&M. Let's say 30% profit is what you're looking at. Next, simple technician data. What's the hourly rate? Remember, I can change the numbers here, so the slider moves, or I can change it on the slider. How many field technicians do you have? Let's say 100. We can say 10. We can say 1, whatever. How many field service visits does each technician make per day? Let's say 3. What percentage of work orders takes a second visit? Aha, remember? This is all the first time fixed rate. It's interesting, the industry standard is almost 30%, but let's just say it's 20% for your organization. And then the last question is your operations, the operating costs, annual spend on operations. I've deliberately kept it very vague. You can define operations costs as cell phone costs, hotel stay, travel, gasoline. It could be anything. You can, all that falls under operations, and what as a percentage of your contract and T&M. 15% sounds about right. And then you and I decided, remember you gave me the nod to not use inventory data, so to keep it simple, I can just say 0 on inventory. And then say, show me the results. It's going to ask you, it's going to just request you to give your name. And then I would say submit. As I'm doing that, look at this. It pulls up all the results. This is the result of the calculations that's done behind the scenes, so you don't have to do it. Again, if you need more help with the calculator, you can always contact us at 100-756-4960. It's on your screen. But these are the top section is the ServiceMax driven improvements, and the bottom section are the ServiceMax costs. So you look at the improvements. As you look at the improvements, this is the benchmark data I was talking to you about. This is where we've curated some of the information. And if you're like, how are you saying you can improve the contract attach rate by whatever? Well, if you look up this document, if you Google it, Aberdeen Services to Services 2012, you would see that the best-in-class companies that have used the right field service automation tool have been able to upsell and cross-sell and thereby improve the contract attach rate by 16%. And I have used the optimistic numbers for the best-in-class, and I've used the laggard information on this little bubble here for the conservative column. So just so you guys know. Again, improvement in annual renewals. We've used different sources for different calculations. So you have a good range of benchmark data, field technician utilization, improvement in the parts shrinkage rate, estimation in the accuracy rate, talk about the service to cash time flow. Just being able to reduce the cycle by producing the pro forma invoice is big. So this is from the Hackett Group of Credit and Cash Collection. You can look up that report as well. Warranty leakage, big number in field service. First time fix rate, as we said. I mean, look at the first time fix rate for best in class. It's 89%. That's amazing. So 89% of the time, a technician goes there, fixes something the first time around, and comes back. Customer is happy, company is happy, technician is on to the next job. That's amazing. Decreasing the mean time to repair. The faster you can repair a particular problem, the more jobs you can squeeze into a day. The repercussions of the mean time to repair are enormous. Operating costs, again, could be overtime, hotels, meals, air, mobile, etc., whatever. You can see that we said 0 for parts, so the numbers for parts have come up 0 because we said no inventory. You can see the first year, second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year numbers. I like to keep it to first year so it doesn't, it makes more sense. And remember, this is for 100 technicians. So the ACV value for ServiceMax or the implementation cost is just a ballpark. It's just a number I had to throw into the calculator. Payback is super awesome. Look at that. I mean, you can play with these numbers. If you think, the analytical side of me is telling I want to change something. Well, guess what? Click on the back button. You can go back. You can change numbers. You can say it's not 5 million, it's actually 2 million. You can go back and say show results. The second time around, your information is not asked. So you can just go back and forth and play with it. I have some time, right? Okay. So now the best part is downloading the personalized report. This personalized report is a PDF that gets saved to your local hard drive, and you can do what you want to do with it. You can print it out, you can stick it on your cubicle, you can send it to your boss, send it to your wife, whatever. You can do whatever you want with this PDF, and just like, you know, sound super smart because we've curated this information for you. I gave in my name, so it says, here are the numbers crunched based on your input, Vidya. So it makes you look like a hero too. And look at that. Here's all the information you input in the sliders. Remember we changed it to 2 million, so that's reflected here. And then these are the first year results because that's the tab I was on when I said download the report. So if you said 5-year results, it would have pulled up 5-year results. And that's it. All the stuff that you saw on the calculator is here. It's in your inbox. With that, that's pretty much it. That's the ROI calculator. And it would have been a shame to end the webinar here and to say, okay, I've given you 2 important tools, go run with it. I feel like I have to bring this full circle and kind of show a sample business case deck that companies have created using the checklist. Okay, Matt Carter. He's the field service director, and maybe this works based on your responses. It seems like if you're pitching to the C-level, you're at least a director or a VP or even a manager who has access to the C-level. So hopefully this resonates with you. So Acme Industries is a small, it's a mid-sized company, and it's in the medical device life sciences space. And this is Matt's business case pitch to his boss. The agenda is he wants to talk about Acme's business goals. He wants to present the business landscape and remind the executives, hey, listen, this is where we stand today. And based on all of that, my proposal is to go with this particular tool. I've done an ROI analysis. Someone helped me, but nobody's telling them that. Anyway, so you've done the ROI analysis, and then there's the expected results. And, of course, you need the executive summary. So the field service goals at Acme, according to Matt, are to improve the billable hours, to stop giving away service for free, and to sell more service contracts and PM plans. So there's a steady stream of revenue for Acme. Look at the business landscape. Some of you might recognize that this content is coming from one of the checklist items. You've done this homework already, so this is super easy to pour into your template, your company template, and say, hey, listen, We have close to 2,000 customers, but just 40% are under contract. There's no PM plans. There's no parts tracking. Our service revenue is $1 million. We have 30 technicians. That's the current situation. And the proposal is, imagine if we can double the number of customers on a contract. Wouldn't that be awesome? And Matt is proposing to go with ServiceMax as the field service automation tool. That will move his company in the next direction, in the right direction. And he wants to pitch to the management that the ServiceMax field service management tool is this end-to-end field service solution. And it starts with contracts. It's got everything around contract management and warranties and entitlements and service plans and so on, things that are relevant for Acme today and tomorrow. There's scheduling. There's various flavors of scheduling. You can do manual scheduling. You can look up the dispatch console. You can make sure that you don't have so many dispatchers. There are 30 technicians. Maybe there are 10 dispatchers, or there are 3 dispatchers. You could change that. Parts, he's like, hey, listen, we have no visibility into parts. We can change that because we don't want to get a technician to the job and he arriving with the wrong part or not having the part in his trunk stock. Social is, obviously ServiceMax is able to help the technician reach out to the expert in the back office. The executives can keep a pulse on what's happening in the field and so on. There are communities for partners and customers. There's analytics, tons of out-of-the-box reports and dashboards, and all these items available on a plethora of mobile devices. So apps for various devices, technicians can bring your own device to work, and so on. So Matt is super excited about ServiceMax. And he says, hey, listen, of all the things that I presented in the last slide, I think the thing that's most relevant for Acme today are these 3 things: entitlement warranty management, preventative maintenance, and parts and inventory management. And he has a few screens and some details in case you're presenting to someone who wants to know this. If you're presenting to the C-level, you want to put this in the appendix, but at least it's there in case they ask you for something. Then you want to talk about why ServiceMax, because this is the business case, right? You have to say, hey, I decided to go with this vendor because ServiceMax is able to provide a complete product. It fits our current business requirements, but at the same time, it's scalable and it's agile enough to take our business requirements and turn it around fast. So tomorrow when we go from 1 million to 10 million, it will grow with us. It's subscription-based pricing because it's 100% in the cloud. It's built on Salesforce.com, so it's being native. It's cloud-based, and hence it's pay-as-you-go model. And it's proven with hundreds of customers. I mean, look at all the life sciences customers they have. So that it's proven in that industry, and we don't have to worry about it. And guess what? The projected improvements, you don't have to crunch numbers because you did an ROI analysis and you can just pull up a screenshot from the fancy PDF report that you've downloaded. You can you can say, hey, look, these are the numbers I put in and these are the results it spewed out, and maybe you want to run this by them beforehand. In case you're presenting to a bigger group, you can run this by your champion, by your executive ones before you present it to the larger group. Finally, an executive summary. I know this is too much information, but I'm just going to call out, this is an example obviously, but Matt says, hey, listen, for us to improve service revenue, the way we can do it is twofold. We can improve the attach rate and we can prevent warranty leakage. And ServiceMax is going to help us with the auto entitlement checks and with the warranty management module. And together with this, we are able to upsell and cross-sell and get more contracts, thereby improving the service revenue. That's pretty much it. I mean, that's the sample business case deck you guys have. So Matt is happy. He's presented it. He's gotten some help. He's gone through the checklist. Obviously, like some of the items on the checklist, like the competitive intel, or if you're talking about benchmark data or something, this is the kind of information you've researched. So you have it in your back pocket. Maybe when you're doing this pitch, walk in with your buddy. your sales or marketing counterpart. Have him in the room, have him nod at what you say, because he's sold on the value of field service and what it can bring to his role as well. Anyway, next steps, go to the ROI calculator, play with it. It's not anything, it's just a fun tool and hopefully easy to use. I'd love to get your feedback on what you think worked best for you and so on. And with that, I'm going to stop my monologue and open it up for some Q&A.
Thanks, Vidya. We have a few questions that have come in, and everyone else, please submit your questions via the control panel, and we'll try and get through as many as possible. So the first one I have for you is, our business situation is very unique. Although very relevant, the online tool may not serve our purpose. How would you calculate the ROI for me?
Oh, awesome. I mean, I'm so glad you asked the question. I forgot to mention the other part of the ROI calculator. So I deliberately kept the online tool simple because I didn't want to scare away people with like 50 questions. But internally, we help companies with the Excel-based calculator that we have. It's a big list of input parameters, and it's very flexible. You can, I think the online tool has, let me count, 10 plus 3, 13 questions. And the Excel tool that we have internal is a 54-question input tool. So obviously not meant for a website, and so we've hidden all of that. And really, those 54 questions can cater to all your business needs. It's extensive, and we are here to help you with that. We totally would love to do an ROI analysis for you guys, just a complimentary analysis. Get in touch with us.
Great, thanks, Vidya. Next question we have is, how scalable is the ServiceMax solution to large field organizations?
Oh, wow. I mean, we have, I just pulled up a few of the logos in just life sciences, but we have some really large customers. Just to quote a few, Tyco, Pitney Bowes, Coca-Cola Enterprises, Schneider Electric, and so on. Big deployments, multi-nation deployments, first phase, second phase, thousands of technicians. So it's suited for all kinds of organizations. And the ROI calculator online is meant to just give a brief overview for someone who's saying, I don't want to do my thesis in ROI, but I do want to be able to crunch numbers. So this is just a sample, and that's why on the tool 2 I say, hey, if you need help with the ROI calculator, contact us. What we mean by that is, this may not work for you, but we can do a complimentary analysis for you just based on some of the data we have. And large organizations, they have depot repair, and they have reverse logistics, and they have distributed networks, and they have maybe managed services and all services. I mean, really, there's a plethora of variations for large companies, and there are various ways to tackle them. So totally catered for large organizations.
Okay, thanks. Next question is, will the system pull inventory data from Great Plains ERP?
Of course, Great Plains, SAP, Oracle, any ERP system. I mean, it's a great question, and obviously ServiceMax can't exist in isolation. Field service would require a bidirectional data flow between the ERP or the CRM or the financial system, your accounting system, whatever it is. Great Plains is a great example, and we do have customers who've connected to a wide range of ERP systems. And before I forget, let me tell you, we're native on Salesforce, which means that Salesforce is connected to tons of ERP systems, and we pretty much share the same data model. I'm getting a little technical here. What I mean by that is we live in the same house. So we live in the master bedroom, they live in the living room or something. So it's just there. And by the way, we have an integration webinar on the 19th of June, a really hot topic. It's just a half-hour webinar. It's going to be a mini cast, and boom, 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 lots of details built into that integration webinar. So look forward to that too.
Okay, here's another good question. I know you're built on Force.com. Do I need to use Salesforce.com?
Oh, another great question, and the answer is no. We are pretty independent. Although we are built on the platform, you can totally. We have tons of customers who have just bought ServiceMax. We've OEM'd the Salesforce licenses, so you would just get the objects and the screens needed for running ServiceMax. So you don't have to be a Salesforce customer, or you don't have to have Salesforce licenses to buy ServiceMax.
Okay, and the next question is importing from bespoke SQL ERP.
Yes, SQL imports and bespoke is also a possibility. ERP, importing, exporting, we have 19 certified implementation partners across the globe, and Deloitte, Accenture, Forefront, I mean, I can go on with the list, and they've connected ServiceMax Field Service to tons of ERP systems and tons of other systems in both enterprise and mid-market. So that's a given, yes. Mass 500, Mass 200, I mean, the list is just so long. I think I should memorize a few of the endpoints that they connect.
Great. Thank you, Vidya. And I think with that, we've come to the end. So I just wanted to give a big thank you for speaking today. As always, very insightful. And I think our attendees were very engaged as well based on the number of questions we got today.
Sure. Thank you, Naomi. And yes, we do offer a soup and sandwich deal if you purchase ServiceMax. So thank you for that fun question. Just like I love to keep it lighthearted too. So thank you. Look forward to the feedback.
We'll just give you a final reminder that we will send the recorded webinar and slide deck to you, and you can expect to get that within about 48 hours. So thanks again.
Sure. You're welcome. Thank you, guys.